Hey everyone, and welcome back to Resident Evil Month. Still cringy as hell, but I don't care. Anyway, now we've entered the second entry in this series, Resident Evil Apocalypse. Released in 2004, this movie I was kind of dreading, because even people who liked the first Resident Evil film say that after the first film it all goes downhill. Hang on. Sorry about this, just give me a minute. Sorry, I was thirsty. Anyway. I was expecting Resident Evil Apocalypse to be an absolute dumpster fire. However, and I can't believe I'm saying this, while Resident Evil Apocalypse is not a good movie, not in the slightest, I did enjoy it more than the first film. Still a bad movie, but compared to the first film, I at least got a lot more enjoyment out of it. With that said, let's talk about the plot. The movie picks up right where the last film ended. Alice is taken by Umbrella and wakes up completely naked in a mysterious laboratory. It turns out that she is now in Raccoon City. And she tries to get and Raccoon City is going through a zombie outbreak. So Alice tries to escape. Along with the help of some random people that are not from the games, and some characters that are from the games. One thing that's really bizarre about this movie, by the way, is how it's paced. I know that may sound weird, but the movie doesn't focus a lot on Alice, which surprised me. Most at least the first quarter of the film, it's focused on Jill Valentine. And then when Alice shows up, she kind of takes the rest of the focus. I don't know why exactly Paul did this. Paul W.S. Anderson, the director or writer, whoever, I don't know why they decided to do this. It just feels kind of uneven and weird in terms of pacing. With that said, like I admitted, I did get a lot more enjoyment out of this film compared to the first one. For starters, this movie focuses a lot more on at least one of the Resident Evil games. This movie clearly is an adaptation of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And whenever the movie is trying to be like Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, it's surprisingly entertaining. I mean, okay, there's no real good scares, there's no good suspense, tension, atmosphere, but there's at least something in this movie trying to be faithful to the games. The actress who plays Jill Valentine, I can't think of her name right now. She is really damn good in this movie. Not only does she look exactly like Jill, but seeing her in the iconic outfit from the original Resident Evil 3 was so awesome. She's a badass, she doesn't take shit from anyone, but also does have a bit of kind heart and does want to help others. Whenever the movie is focusing on her, it's the most enjoyment I got out of it. Even her introduction is pretty badass. She walks into a police station and immediately shoots a bunch of people who turn into zombies. It's silly, it's corny, but you know what? It's Jill Valentine. I'll accept it. This is something I can totally imagine Jill doing. Um, other characters from Resident Evil 3 that do show up, like Carlos, Brad, and Nemesis, are also done well. Nemesis in particular, I was really surprised at how well they did him. For starters, Nemesis isn't CGI. They actually got an actor into a suit, or they got an animatronic working or something. Either way, he looks great. It's so cool that whenever Nemesis shows up in the film, he looks like he's really there because he actually was there. Yeah, he's a lot short. Yeah, he's a lot shorter than the Nemesis from the games, but but he still looks fantastic despite that. And he for the most part acts very much in character, hunting down members of STARS. Speaking of which, the costume design also really good. Whenever they replicate outfits from the games. Like I said, Jill's outfit is fantastic, and I got a nice chuckle when we saw members of STARS wearing Chris's uniform from the original Resident Evil. Yeah, it's a bit odd that all the members of STARS are wearing the exact same uniform, but you know what? It's cool. It's cool seeing an iconic look in this movie. Even the side characters, well, they aren't really like that great. They're not as annoying as the military soldiers from the first film. I at least cared a little bit more about the random civilians in this film compared to the last one. Even the CGI is, yeah, it still looks fake, but it looks a hell of a lot better than in the first film. Hell, even the action and cinematography, well, not fantastic. There's not any shots that I remember. I it's at least better shot compared to the first film, at least in my opinion. I can kind of understand why people say the first film is better, because at least in terms of writing and filmmaking, you could make an argument that the first film is better. But I got more enjoyment out of this because it felt more like a Resident Evil movie. Still bad, but still, like, it still at least felt like Resident Evil in tone, at least. The acting in the film is fine. For the most part, like I said, the actress who plays Jill does a great job. In fact, all the actors who play characters from the games do a pretty decent job with the material that they're given. Um, and Mila Jovovich, like you'd expect, does give it her all and does give a decent performance. I still don't give a shit about her character, Alice, but at least Mila Jovovich is trying to do the best with the material that she's given. But yeah, don't get the wrong idea though. This movie has problems, and it definitely is not a good film. For starters, like I said, Alice is still not a very interesting character, and what they do with her character in this movie is ridiculous. Okay, so, get a load of this. Apparently they were experimenting the T virus on her. Which, if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but isn't that the same virus strain that creates the tyrants like Nemesis or Mr. X? If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, so they experiment on her with the virus, and instead of it turning her into a monster, it somehow gives her superpowers and complete control. I'm not kidding. She's like super athletic now, super agile, has like greater strength now, or some shit like that. Honestly, the movie doesn't do a very good job explaining what her superpowers do exactly. A lot of the stunts she does, a lot of the stunts and action that she does in the film aren't really that different from the first film, just more ridiculous looking. The funniest thing though is that, and this is going to sound really weird, but Alice is, but this plot point actually reminded me of a character a character who was similar. Um, Give me a minute. She reminded me of Aya Brea from Parasite Eve. If you have not played this game, I highly recommend you do. Parasite Eve is one of the most underrated horror games and RPGs ever made. And it is criminal that Square Enix doesn't bother with this franchise anymore. Should be told, I don't know why she reminded me so much of Aya. Maybe it was because they were both maybe it's because they're both badass women that take on monsters and now have superpowers. And I think the reason why it reminded me so much is because if they took Alice in a similar direction to what they did with Aya Brea, that could have actually done more for her character. Aya Brea in Parasite Eve, if you haven't played the game, spoilers ahoy. Aya Brea in Parasite Eve is fighting a biological super terrorist / weapon named Eve. Eve has the power to manipulate the mitochondria in the human body or the mitochondria in any living organism to do crazy things. She can turn animals into horrific, nightmarish monsters, or can manipulate the mitochondria in humans to set them on fire or turn them into a puddle of goop. Aya is the only one who's not affected by Eve's powers. In fact, and Aya manages to gain superpowers herself by manipulating the mitochondria in her body. So it's a similar idea to Alice, this badass woman who's good at shooting guns, and then randomly discovers these superpowers and abilities. The big difference, though, is how Parasite Eve executes this character, or does this character, compared to what Resident Evil Apocalypse does with Alice. Because Aya has similar powers to Eve, she's terrified. She's scared that she'll become a monster just like Eve. She's afraid that the power she has will corrupt her and make her turn on the ones close to her. And but despite those fears, she realizes that she's the only one that can stop Eve. So she puts her fears aside to protect the ones she cares about. And now you could do something very similar with Alice in this film. Again, Alice was experimented on with a virus created by Umbrella. Her experience at the Hive in the first film already gives her an idea of the kind of creatures that Umbrella can make. So you could do something interesting with Alice in this film where she starts to fear her power, fear that the virus will take over her body or something like that. That would be interesting. That would be engaging, and that would add more development to Alice's character. Yeah, it would be a complete ripoff of Aya, but one, a lot of people don't know about Parasite Eve, so very few would notice. And two, more importantly, it would have at least been something to make Alice a more interesting and fleshed out character. But no, the movie doesn't do any of that. She does exactly the same as she was in the first film, only she now has superpowers and does the most ridiculous shit ever. There's a scene that actually made me laugh out loud where Alice drives a motorcycle through the top of a church window and perfectly shoots some liquors while riding through the window. This is ridiculous on so many levels. I could break this down in so many ways as to how this is stupid, but I'll just focus on the big one. How the fuck did Alice manage to ride her motorcycle through the top of a church window? The church window is like all the way up here, like close to the fucking ceiling. How the hell did Alice ride her motorcycle through there? Was there like a fucking Duke Kaboom like ramp or something right there? Did she bump into the nerd from Robot Chicken before he was going to do the opening for season 10? It's like, what? It's like, how the fuck did she pull that off? Superpowers or not, that's absolutely ridiculous. This is the kind of shit that Ghost Rider would be able to do. Also, I love how Alice just so happens to find a biker shop that not only has new clothes, a motorcycle that has gas in it, of course, and guns. What the fuck kind of shop has all that shit? Is this the... Maybe it's supposed to be that gun... Maybe it's supposed to be that gun store from Resident Evil 2. I don't know. But yeah, most of the if I have to give, honestly, most of the movie, I was having at least a bit of a fun time. The action is shot a lot better here, so I was able to get a little bit more enjoyment out of it. Even the random black guy character that shows up that fans have hated on. I mean, he was kind of annoying, but he had so little of an impact on the story that I just kept forgetting about him. No joke, every time the guy showed up in the movie, I was like, oh yeah, it's that guy. Why is he in this movie again? Most of the movie I was like, well, I mean, it's not good, it's ridiculous, it's silly, and it's nowhere near close to what Resident Evil is, but it was at least fun. Then we got to the climax, and that was when I was like, yeah, this is shit. So, and because I don't want you to see this piece of shit, I'm gonna break this down for you guys. So there's a subplot where this scientist wants Alice and Jill and the others to rescue this little girl who's his daughter. And they do that, but before they can escape, this umbrella head guy catches up with them, and for some reason forces Alice to fight Nemesis. Even though there is a missile that is about to go off in Raccoon City, and the guy knows this. Why is he wasting time with this pissing contest between two of Umbrella's super weapons? It's ridiculous. Oh, we also find out that Nemesis was that one survivor guy who got infected at the end of the first film. And then Nemesis just randomly turns into a good guy right the fuck out of nowhere. What? And then it gets weirder. They manage to get into a helicopter and escape, but the helicopter crashes, but Alice sacrifices herself to save everyone. We then find out that despite the witnesses, like Jill and the others, none of their evidence is being taken seriously or is being believed. Bullshit. Bullshit. You seriously mean to tell me that nobody would have researched any of the accusations that Jill and Carlos and the others would have? Nobody? Nobody. Like the government. Like, what? Bullshit. Oh god, it's so stupid. Even if you want to defend this, like, I don't know, Umbrella paid off guys or something like that, which I still find hard to believe. My biggest issue with this ending is, what was the point of everything then? A lot of what makes Resident Evil 3's and a lot of what makes Resident Evil 3 and 2's endings so satisfying is the fact that all the characters, Leon, Claire, Jill, and Carlos, they won in the end. Umbrella tried to take care of them with secret weapons and stuff to make sure that nothing could get leaked out. But they won. The events of those games, the ending of those games brought the collapse of Umbrella. After all the bullshit that the characters went through, they won in the end, and they took Umbrella down. Even if it didn't kill Umbrella completely, that massive dent to them, to the company, to their finances, to all of it, was so satisfying. Like, it showed that all that fighting, all that sacrifice, all that struggle, it wasn't for nothing. And Resident Evil Apocalypse says it was all for nothing. The fuck? What was even the point then? Ugh. And then the ending gets more confusing, and it turns out that they created a clone of Alice, but Jill and some others come in disguising themselves as Umbrella agents to take her, only to reveal that Umbrella knew that they were spies or something, and implanted something in Alice. I don't know. The movie doesn't explain. It's just a half-assed lead into a sequel. Which is extra hilarious because from what I've researched so far, the next movie doesn't even mention this shit. So what was the point? Ugh. Whatever. Resident Evil Apocalypse is not as bad as the first film, but it's not good. It has good things in it. I like that it follows the games a lot more compared to the first film. I liked Jill. I liked Carlos. I liked Nemesis. The action was a lot better and entertaining, and even the CGI effects were a lot better. But Alice is still not a very interesting character, it's frustrating that she takes a front seat compared to Jill, honestly. The it's goofy, it's corny, it doesn't at all match the tone of the games. Again, I don't get it. If you want to make a dumb action film, then make a dumb action film. Don't call it Resident Evil, because this is not Resident Evil. But, you know, despite those issues, I at least had some bit of a fun time, but I still would not recommend this. I'm going to give Resident Evil Apocalypse a D-. It's not god-awful, but it's not good. Don't waste your time on this. Alright, well that was my review of Resident Evil Apocalypse. With that said, let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Resident Evil Apocalypse? Did you not like it? Do you really love the movie? Do you really hate the movie? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. And I will also have a video, and I also will have a Lycan Lunacy video uploaded maybe today or tomorrow. But I will ensure that I will have a Lycan Lunacy video for this week. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Have a good day, stay safe. Bye.